Welcome to my third attempt at a game jam. This jam I will be doing the Jame Gam number 44. I did not record this while I did it. It was kind of last minute. So I'm recording after the fact. I set myself a goal of doing one game jam every month so that by the end of the year I'd have 12 game jams under my belt, in the hopes that I would develop the skills to make some of the games that I've been thinking of making. I thought this was good inspiration and a good way to grow. This one was really difficult for me. I wound up deciding to do Jame Gam number 44, but before that, I had picked out a couple that were all running about the same time. Shroom Jam, and when the challenge came up of corruptions and using, distortion and bits and things, just didn't appeal to me. This one here, Jam Weekend, I thought would be really cool, but the theme never came out. In fact, people within the jam, after asking for days and days and days, are we going to get a theme, and getting no response, all said they were going to Jame Gam 44. I like Jame Gam. They're great. So I thought I'd check that out. And honestly, the theme is light. The special object is curtain. And I'm like, okay, lights and curtains. And, man, I got nothing. I got no good ideas for this. The morning of the 17th, I went, what would be a good idea? I bet I could make a game out of this if I just tried something. And so I spent one day and still submitted it late, because I didn't realize it was too late, on a game. First, I went into GIMP and I made this curtain and the shadowing effect and the stage here. And I thought to myself, okay, what could I make? I've got a curtain. Cool. See, curtains here. I could, it opens, it closes, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I think it looks pretty nifty. I don't know what it does. I spent some time making this background image work. There we go. So I went, okay, I'm going to put this little guy in. And I thought, it would be cool, a nice gameplay loop. For light, I'll make some trees. A couple of different kinds of trees. Just little trees, a little stump, and, sort of Minecraft-like. You cut down a tree, and then you collect the wood, and when you collect the wood, you can put it into a lantern. Wound up making this lantern, which I think is actually pretty cool looking. The lantern will make light, and the more light there is, the brighter the stage is, the further open the curtains are, and the curtains will slowly close as we go, so we can play on a stage. I figured you could run back and forth, and all that really happens is, as you can see over here, the illusion of moving left and right is really everything else in the background moves around you. You hold the space button and cool, I'm cutting down a tree. See, the tree's gone. Go far enough. I realized that you'd just run on forever, so I put a little fence in. I thought this was cool. The background, just a couple of yellow dots. It's actually 4 backgrounds, and I wanted them to be moving, and it's hard to see here. So you can see the stars falling in the background, and I wanted them to just kind of move as like a, cool little background effect. So the way that works is there's 4 of them. See, and they jump in pairs up and to the side, so that as they're falling, you never notice the image cut. If it was only 1 or 2, you'd see a little corner once in a while. I put a bunch of trees. I thought that was cool. I put a fence up on either side to be the end of the level. And if I don't know, take this. Delete a couple of these guys. You get to the edge and you run into this fence. It looks like a fence. It's pretty cool. I thought, oh, I'll get to replacing this guy eventually. Let's see the scripts. So the curtain here has, the curtain script has both curtains. It has whether or not they're supposed to be open or not, the delay, a couple of other things. And all it does is it picks how far open am I, how far am I supposed to be, and then it's going to do an interpolation between maximum, minimum by the amount that it's supposed to be open, and slowly shift towards that point. That's what gives it the slow, steady, progressive movement, which I think is nice. The lantern's really simple. Seems complex here, but if I'm close to the curtain, I can add fuel. It checks to see if I actually have fuel. The logs displayed here that I get from cutting down the trees, and it'll change its brightness level. One thing that I thought would be interesting is, since there's a lantern right at the beginning, one's further out and one's even further than that, I thought the ones closer to the center, the easiest ones to get to, the ones you get to the first, the fastest, should be the least effective. Going to the ones at the far edges create more light, they last longer, but they're harder to get to, and you kind of get boxed in by the trees regrowing over time. And the curtain's amount of openness depends on the total sum of light adjusted for each of the lanterns, which I think is pretty cool. The trees themselves will randomly pick one of the sprites given to it. They have a range for how long it takes for them to grow, and a range for how long it takes for them to be cut down. Let's see, what else did I do? If the player is in the space, then the player can pick up can interact with the trees, chop them down. When the tree gets cut down, it picks the amount of time, picks a new tree for what it will grow into, because there's 3 different kinds of trees that I can see. There's a couple of different sounds for chopping wood all in there. Each one plays randomly so that it doesn't sound too dull. This was the last thing I did. Normal stuff. And then last minute, I added a song that I had already made in Beatbox. I've got a list of songs that I have made just playing around. So every once in a while, I just go on here and so it's pretty simple. You just put a couple of notes and boom, look, you got a song. It comes with all these different instruments. It is very retro sounding. You can't make, modern jams on it, but, it's a pretty simple, easy to use tool. So I slapped in a song from there, and honestly, this took me so little time to put together, and I got this. It took me probably the most time, 2 hours, to figure out how to make that show up. Like the little curtains opening feature, options for volume that gets saved, credits. Quit doesn't work in the WebGL version, it can only work in a build. But play game, the curtain closes, like the shadows, then it opens. I added these little particle effects to the fire, a little shadow, little lighting effect. And if you watch it, see, it gets darker and dimmer and smaller over time. Dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and darker and darker, until you pretty much can't play now. You have no idea what's happening. And then you lose. Little game over screen. And now we rest our weary heads. You can get to the credits, you can quit, you can hit restart, and it starts the game back over. I decided to put a little more energy this time into the overall page. Put a little banner up, fill out some information, a little background, change the colors. Thought it was nice. And out of 31 entries, I came in 12th. Pretty good on special object implementation. That's the curtain. And the audio, which is a song by me and some sound effects. Pretty simple. Overall in gameplay, we're top third. I'm actually pretty proud of how well this game performed, and it taught me something. Making a complex and interesting and deep and something that really speaks to me kind of game isn't necessarily what's going to do well in a game jam. This has a more interesting gameplay loop, even though it's a really simple concept. The gameplay loop's actually kind of fun. The music and audio and video visuals are simple. I mean, I even wrote on it, sorry, I meant to replace the placeholder player square with something more interesting, someone swinging an axe. Didn't have time. I mean, I did all of the art, all of the music, and the programming in a day. So I think it went pretty well.